Hi, everyone, and welcome back to The Manager, the podcast where we illuminate the invisible work women do every day and explore how it translates into powerful leadership and world-changing impact. I'm your host, Aimee Rickabus, entrepreneur, author, mama of six, and a firm believer that some of the most important innovations start with what's been overlooked. Today's guests are the perfect example of that. I first met Denielle Finkelstein and Thyme Sullivan last June at a supplier diversity event with PepsiCo in New York. We instantly connected, not just because of their incredible energy, but because of the powerful mission they've built together. They're cousins, they're co-CEOs, and they're co-founders of Unicorn, a company that's reimagining bathroom access and product equity in public and corporate spaces. What started as a bold idea to bring dignity, visibility, and inclusion into the most unexpected of places has grown into a movement. You've probably seen their sleek, thoughtful dispensers in stadiums, airports, and Fortune 500 headquarters like Chase and American Express. But what you may not see is the story behind it. Two women who left successful corporate careers, trusted their vision, and built something that touches culture, wellness, and infrastructure all at once. Today, we're talking about the moment the idea for Unicorn sparked to life, what it's like building a company as a family, and how they're navigating scale, equity, and leadership with both heart and systems thinking. Let's dive in. Hi, guys. Okay, welcome. So you both came from impressive corporate careers. What was the moment that sparked the idea for Unicorn, and why did you guys decide to build it together?
Great. Well, thank you, Amy. So happy to be here. We actually met you at Pepsi, and that is kind of the origin of the story. That was my first job out of school. So I spent over 27 years with Pepsi and Coke and Nestle, and I kept spending a lot of time in supermarkets and realizing that you could see the ingredients of everything from ketchup to cat food, but not period products. So really the idea came when both of us left our corporate careers. So my whole background was in sales and operations, and Danielle was at the absolute height of her career in fashion with branding and marketing, working everywhere from Ann Taylor, Coach, running international for Kate Spade, chief merchant at Talbot. She had this incredible background, and we both decided to try to do something new. And you're seeing this so much right now in the world that women are getting to a certain point. They work their whole lives to get to a certain point in their career, and they get there and they say, is that it? And this was our way to build a legacy to produce products that were better for our daughters, and all women was really where it started.
That's awesome. So inspiring. Yeah. So you guys are sitting there, you're doing the marketing, Danielle, and you're over at the corporate. And so okay, so you guys want to make better tampons, better pads, safer, right? So what do you guys do?
I think the biggest thing is what we recognized is that we, because we have daughters, how do we do something that's different for them generationally? But I think also when we really sat back and we looked at our old, where we were in our careers and very impressive careers, we didn't have any impact. We weren't doing something that had purpose behind it. And, I joke like my last job, like it was great, but I was making sweaters for 80-year-old women. Those 80-year-old women needed it. Thyme was selling Hot Pockets. Like when you really break it down, our purpose, like we weren't really like leaning into what we could do to change the world for our kids and this next generation. And so it was about this whole concept of creating a better product. In the beginning of our business, we were a retail business on shelf, like really following that like grocery store concept and going after that, being for the consumer. And this is really, I think, when we really actually recognized that this could be a movement and not just the product anymore, was when we listened to our customers. And we had customers that were buying our product off shelf and then they would be putting it into a bathroom. And the reason they were putting it into a bathroom in more in like this corporate space and offices and even in schools was the quality of our product was what people really, really resonated with. And it made us sit back and say, hey, listen, there's something even bigger than this. We're going to sell a premium product on shelf, and that's not going to actually have the impact and the purpose that we really set out to do, was to change and advance this next generation. And we sat back and we said, you know what? We can do this better. There's something that has to be done. And the system that had been created, and we always joke like, these machines that are in there, these period product machines have been there since 1980. And our team has actually gone back and done the history on them, and it's like back to like 1940. And so those period product dispensers are archaic. and they haven't evolved. They're not modern. And when we think about the workplace in particular, we knew that we had to do something differently. And so this was really one of those moments in business where, if we had done this right at the beginning, we wouldn't have gotten to this place that we're at. And it allowed us to really sit back and number one, listen to what our customer and what the feedback had been. But number two was, we're going to be bold. And we were already bold making the change into this, into doing what we're doing now. But we're going to completely pull out of retail, and we're going to shift the entire business to go into the bathroom space and put period products where they actually need to be, which is actually physically in the bathroom stall, just like toilet paper. And so that was the moment that this changed from it just being a product to actually creating a movement. And more importantly, this is systemic change. This is the change that this next generation, it'll be part of their lives. And so that's something, like, when we think about that now we're really leading with purpose and we're really leading with impact. That's the piece that gets us, like, really excited, because those early days, like, it was like we wanted a better product. But the shift really became once we came into the bathroom space, and that really turned it into a movement.
That's just awesome. I love, and I think that this is I don't know if it's uniquely woman, but you definitely see it more in female-led companies where we listen. Okay, what do you guys need?
It's our
I'm listening to
superpower. We say
it
this.
really is.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah, and
Mhm.
I really feel like I was able to do that at Tomahawk too, which is like really well, making a big shift in our tech space too, based on what the customer needed at the time, and it was a big technology shift that was happening when we were getting
Yeah.
going during COVID, and that, I think listening is our superpower, and I love that you
Mhm.
guys are focused on purpose, 'cause I think that's such a big part of finding, how we're gonna really optimize ourselves as people. Like, where are we really gonna
Yes.
find the highest forms of ourselves? And it's like once we focus on how our purpose and our impact that we can have on the world, like, what can we do with our time? What's our legacy gonna be?
Yep.
It
I
has to
love
be
that.
more. It has to be more. That's why I started writing and doing the podcast, because I love doing technology,
I
but
love
I
it.
don't think it's enough of a legacy for me, and I needed more. And so now I write and I do my podcast because I wanna promote the women. I wanna show the
So
world what women
powerful.
do as
Mhm.
leaders, how we
Yeah.
do things differently. And I love you guys talk about how you honor your cycles, like you honor, your downtime and your rest. And I think that that's something that as women, as more mature business owners, if you don't do that, man, you will burn yourself to the ground. And you guys seem to do it real well.
That is, I think, one of the things that when Thyme and I started this, that was the commitment we made to each other, is that we had to protect ourselves and our mental well-being and our families. Like, that had to come first, and then the
Mhm.
business. Because in our prior lives, our prior chapters, was the job came first, and it always did. And that was really one of those enormous shifts that we did. We made a commitment to one another. We're like, we cannot sway from this.
Absolutely. I made the same shift in my 20s and my 30s. I worked myself. I just worked myself until I'd end up in bed, and then I'd lay there for about 3 months and recover from burning myself to the ground, and then, now I won't do that anymore. I had a big shift. I think COVID was a real nice time to kind of take a rest and drop back a little bit, and being able to do all the things that we do virtually now really saves us a
Yeah.
lot of time and energy too. It's like, you guys, I didn't have to fly to New York to interview you. What an
Yeah. No,
amazing
it's the
time
best. My God,
we're
yes.
living in. It's like,
Yep.
we can save so much time, so much money, so much carbon footprint doing these
Yep.
things, virtually. The world has changed, and I think that we as leaders, I'm very happy to see the women that I'm interviewing also approaching leadership from a real, it's okay to work hard, but it's also okay to rest and take
Yep.
care of ourselves and put our oxygen masks on first. I love it.
Oh, that's my phrase. I love that. Yep. Because
Yeah.
yes, we have to. Yep.
Yeah. Too
Love
many
that.
people rely on us. Our families rely
Mhm.
on us, and it's,
Yep.
we can lead companies, but we have to leave enough of ourselves to still be there to be a leader for our families too. So I love what you guys are doing. I'm
I
super
love it.
impressed with you guys. What's it like building a company as co-CEOs and family? And how do you divide the responsibilities and stay aligned?
Mhm.
Yeah. Well, that's a great question. And just so all your listeners know, we are cousins who had not seen each other in over 30 years. So I had left my job and was thinking about starting this company and talking about it on social media. And Danielle had walked out of her job and reached out to me on Facebook and said, "Hey, do you want to get together for lunch?" She had been driving for 3 years right by the exit of my house, and we hadn't seen each other in over 30. And we got together for lunch that day, and I told her my big dream. And I said, "Wouldn't it be absolutely amazing if we could do this together? We have such complementary skill sets and we're family." And she said, "Absolutely
Yeah,
not."
my first response was like, I just walked out of my job. I'm like, well,
There's
what are you
no
talking
way.
about?
I'm resting, I'm taking time. And listen, I will give her credit. First of all, I'm an excellent salesperson because just
Cheers.
fast forward within 2 weeks, it was a done deal. But at that time, when I first reconnected with Danielle, so first of all, it's family, even though you hadn't seen each other. So there's that built-in trust. But this woman sitting across from me, who's now like the sister I've never had, hadn't been to a doctor's appointment, a dentist appointment, a mammogram in how long in your career? And we just both realized that not only were there products that we needed to improve, but the workplace wasn't built for women and work schedules aren't built around women. And you talk a lot about how things can be remote and we can get things done. I actually had a boss once who hired all working moms. And I said, "Do you realize that we're all would," he goes, "Yeah, because working moms get shit done." He said, and he's right. We
So true.
actually do. And I think
Yeah.
that's totally fair. And, to talk about we are co-founders, co-CEOs, we're cousins, we're co-co-cos. And people ask us about it all the time. And we both say, I can't imagine not having a co-founder
It's the
because
best.
any solopreneur out there, bless you. We give you so much love because it's hard. There are hard days. And if you don't have somebody there that picks you up when you're down and you lift them up, but like we're pretty much on a good, like opposite cycle. And we're so complementary in our skill sets. And, even from day one, I mean, we were in a long time without any salary at all. And we're packing lunches and sharing hotel rooms. And I would tell you, even 7 years later, we still share a hotel room because it's
Yep.
like camp. It's
It's
super
the
fun.
best. It's the best.
Even the smallest hotel rooms in New York City you've ever seen. But I would tell you that having a co-founder has been critical to our success. Having that family bond and trust has been absolutely critical. And what it also has done, and I hope you can hear it in this interview, is every time we get to a point where like, wait a minute, like this has got to be fun. Otherwise it's not worth it. We have a lot of fun together and with our team and our customers. And that's really a priority because we came from pretty serious corporate backgrounds that did not have a lot of fun.
Well, and
Yeah.
Thyme's like who we love Sarah Blakely.
Cool.
And like
Yes.
her quote is like, look, you can do serious things, but now I'm like totally butchering the quote.
Serious things without taking yourself too
But to yourself too
seriously.
seriously. Thank you, Thyme.
See, we finish
But
each other's
but
sentences
but
and
that's like
sentences.
but truly, like that is it. Like we can't like we took ourselves seriously for so long. And now I think that's the part too, is like at this stage in our careers too. It's like you can be your authentic self. You can actually show up as you, both work as well as outside, as well as in your social media, as well as your, LinkedIn, what doesn't matter. It's really like this is who we are. And what we've recognized is actually we're actually gravitating and we're pulling people in that's who we want to work with. So it's been really good.
I know. I saw the video of you guys. You guys ran a 5K or something dressed as
No,
tampons. Was
time
that a thing?
time time did.
Hey, we
I mean,
cannot afford PR, and it was
that's
absolutely
awesome.
really hot and miserable, but really funny, and it worked.
It was really funny.
Next
So
picture
funny.
actually be running the Reebok 10K for women in Boston dressed as a tampon ended up in Time magazine. I mean, it has been everywhere. And it got us noticed by our first buyer at Wegmans called us after she saw it, because we had been on local TV and radio and whatever. And it changed everything. And it was really about taking risk and having courage and checking your ego at the door and having some fun. I mean, that was a big turning moment for us.
Yeah.
That's so cool. I know. I think that there's something that comes with being a little older where it's
Oh yeah.
just a little easier to just be you. And I think for some reason our culture has overlooked how awesome women over the age of 40 actually are.
Oh, yes.
We are
Mhm.
kind of awesome. We're
We're
kind of
badass.
hilarious. We're funny. We're brave. We're authentic. We've been
Mhm.
through it. We know all kinds of stuff. It's just so cool. I'm so proud of you guys. So tell me, how do you nurture company culture in a way that reflects your mission around dignity, access, and equity?
I love this. And the reason I love this is, and Thyme knows this about me, is I live in the belief that we are in the business of humans and everything is about relationships. And so, what we're doing in our work is about improving the lives of humans. What we do in the workplace is improving the lives of our employees and our team and our culture. And so, it all runs parallel. It is married together. So for this, like that's why it's super important that, day to day, like we are all relationship people. And I think that's one thing that has been lost in a lot of corporate America is we're forgetting that there's actually a human on the other side who you're working with. And it's the reminder every day, like we all have things that are going on in our lives, like what potentially is happening. When we think sometimes the stress is like it's here, it's actually not. It's something that's actually happening in their life. Like, so really understanding that human across the table from you, but also that every day, this is what we're doing. We're trying to improve the lives of this next generation. Like that is our goal. And if our company and our team can be exactly the same, as Thyme just said too, like when we thought about corporate America and what we shifted here is that creating that space of flexibility within our workforce, like really letting them know that like we see you, we hear you, we care about you, and having that flexibility on, okay, you're going to decide, one member on our team, she's got younger kids, so she's going to work until 7 o'clock until the kids go to bed and then she's back on. But we're all adults. And so it's also remembering that we've got adults that we're working with. So it's just really, I think that the core of this is that this is about we're working with humans. We've got to bring that back to the workplace. People are forgetting that. We're not just numbers anymore. And the importance of your people are your most important asset. They really, truly are. I still, Aimee, like, I just have to like bring back the story of like, we didn't even know who you were at that point, but we saw at Pepsi and Quentin was up he was doing the presentation and you were filming him like the proudest mom in the entire room. And it was like, he's doing his performance, but it was like you were beaming with pride. But that's what it is. We want to see our teams go do those things and sit there and be able to then sit back and say, oh my goodness, like that's our people.
Yeah.
And that's what
My
it is. Like
employees, they really are. They are like, actually feel, I know he's older than I am, but yeah, I feel like they're all my children. I really do.
Mhm.
It's funny, but I'll come
Well, you
into
have
the
a
office
lot.
and,
You have a lot of
give everybody a hug. How you doing
Yeah,
today? And that's just,
always.
I'm sorry, that's the way I lead. That might not be
Yes.
the way that
Same.
he led, but that's the
Yeah.
way she led, right? So that's just the way I am. I really am. My nickname was Mama Chicken, and I really feel
Oh,
like I
I
check in
love
with
that.
everybody just like the
Yep.
mama chicken.
Yep. You got to
I'm so I
cluck
was
in, cluck, cluck, cluck. Yep.
so, so proud of Quentin that day.
Oh, it
He
was amazing.
absolutely crushed it, and it was
He did.
such a proud moment for me and for Tomahawk to have him be on the floor at PepsiCo it was one of those moments you'll never forget.
But
Yeah, just
that is when you can see you care about the humans. And
yeah.
that's just one of like those moments. So,
Yeah, yeah, no, I really, really do. I'm glad you guys do too. I just think that's sort of I haven't met a woman that doesn't care about people. I mean, at least the women that I know that are mothers, it's sort of like just the kind of the way we're wired. I
yeah.
think that in the past it was seen as something that was like not so great, and now I think it's just we're building a whole new culture around a whole new corporate culture that's a more nurturing and more of a caregiving infrastructure where where your leader is a caregiver for all of the people who
Yeah.
work underneath them.
Yeah.
We have to take
I
care of
love
our
it.
people. They are our
Yes,
people.
we do. Yep.
Yeah.
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 Yep.
So you've installed unicorn in places like Chase Bank and American Express and stadiums all across the country. What has scaling taught you about systems and partnership and the pace of change?
That is a perfect segue from the conversation that we just had. So as much as we talk about like we're in the business of humans, what has made the difference is the relationships that we've built with our customers, with our manufacturer, with our distributors. We've been really lucky that, somebody told us early on, like, you've got to, from our investors, same thing, you've got to find your people. And it was really obvious really early on when we were trying to get investors or work with any partner that wasn't aligned with our mission and our goal and our values, it's really apparent and you can feel it. We talk a lot about like that it in your gut, and that if a door is not supposed to open, to stop pushing it and to go to another door. And I think we learned that because in our old lives we really had this grit mentality that we were going to fight through no matter what and stay in this toxic environment or relationship or job or whatever. And now we realize some people we're not supposed to work with. They're never going to understand it. They're never going to be part of it. And so we've curated over the years just phenomenal people all around us that we work with. And it's given us the ability to it's they're working hard because they believe in what we're doing, but also we've had to pivot a bunch of times and to have the freedom to be able to change direction because we listened, because we saw a problem we wanted to fix or we wanted to do something differently. You don't have that freedom in a corporate environment always to just be like, you know what? Like that didn't work. We're gonna go do this. It's really been a tremendous amount of freedom, and it's been wonderful to be able to curate everybody around us that we work with that has given us the ability to scale.
Yeah. It's really impressive. It's really impressive to watch you guys go and watch you guys grow. How
Yes.
do you
Yeah.
balance innovation with operational simplicity, especially
Mhm.
as women leaders navigating mission and margin?
Yeah. Well, most
Yeah.
important is we are a for-profit company. So
Yes.
that's one thing we always have to clarify with. They're like, "Oh, are you?" We're like, "No, no, 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 no. We're not a nonprofit."
It's not a hobby.
It's not.
Oh, no.
You know what? I think there's a couple of places here, and this is just experience. You think of Thyme and I have both because we've been part of large corporate. We've seen how the system works in a large corporate. We understand sometimes how long a sales cycle takes. We understand the amount of people you may have to go through and the hoops you're going to have to jump through. So and we also understand the ups and downs of business. And that goes with experience. Like, so we actually, and we used to look in the early days because especially when we were fundraising in the beginning, and we're sitting across from like 25-year-old boys, I want to say boys, that are at these VCs and they're looking at us like we're old ladies. And they didn't actually value our experience, and that's actually a really important piece and an asset that we have. And so I
Mhm.
really think about that as sort of like it- the operational simplicity. Because we have that experience, it's allowed us to cut out the noise. We're
Yes.
able to remove the fat. We're not thinking about some of these other things, and we've stayed so focused on the mission. And look, I will tell you, both Thyme and I have ADHD, so there are times where, like, there's squirrels. There are definitely squirrels. And our team, like there are, and our team too. And my poor husband, he's like, he's one who does not. He's like everything is like black or white, and and same thing with Thyme's husband as well. But so there, but what I would say is that our focus, like we now are recognizing, like, okay, you know what? That's not on the priority list. So it's going to come over here and we could spend a little bit of time on it. But, I think that's really that has gone with experience. And so that's allowed us then to be innovative. That's allowed us to kind of think about things differently. But the other part that I would say around this as well is, and this is what we've gotten better and better and better over time as starting this business from 7 years ago, is we've learned to ask for help. So that has helped with our operational, simplicity is when we don't know something, we either ask for help or we outsource it.
Yeah.
And in some cases, we still are wanting to learn aspects of it, but we're not going to be experts in everything. And I think that's something that's really important is
Mhm.
you're not going to be. So what are the things that we do really well? And so, look, we're a team of 4 people. And we're doing what we're doing with 4 people. And the reason we can is we have outsourced a lot. But we've been very efficient and we've kept it simple. And that's, I think, the thing that's going to keep, like, we're super proud of it. People definitely are like, wait, how do you do that? When we're like, we figured it out. Like, we really have.
We do it too. We keep it super simple, and post-COVID world, you can keep it very simple. It's very easy to outsource. It's very easy to find good people that are professional and
Right?
in their areas, and you don't have to keep everyone on the bench. The old school way was
Yes.
to have all these employees that knew
Higher,
all of
higher,
these
higher,
different
higher, higher,
facets.
higher,
Yeah.
higher. Yep.
And you don't have to do that anymore. You don't need a big building with a bunch of people sitting in it. You can, most of my employees live all over the US. And we work remote, and everybody has their accounts that they take care of. And, everybody manages their own little book of business. And then we run the accounting department here in San Juan Capistrano, and we keep it simple because we have the maturity. And I think,
That's
and
it.
there's also this you don't need the ego of it either. I don't need the big building just because I need the big building. You're like, nah, and I think the maturity that comes along with, having the experience, man,
It
here we
is.
go, it's
Yep. Yep.
amazing. Yeah.
It is. It really is.
Yes.
Yeah.
What about organic? You guys knew,
We're
how
still
did you guys
organic.
know? Yeah, how did you know
Well,
to
I
go
mean, that
organic? I guess I should
well,
ask
that
you
was
this
the big
question too.
piece. Well, that was
Yeah,
originally was Thyme was like,
yeah,
she walked down the aisles and she's like, everything else is organic. And she's like, you walk into the aisle of feminine care. Back then it was feminine care. Now they're calling it period products.
yeah.
Is you don't have to disclose ingredients in period products. And
So
she's like, wait,
gross.
something's weird. Like something's weird that you're not having to disclose what's in your period products, but I know what my dogs are eating. Like
Yeah,
that doesn't make sense. And so
yeah.
that was one of those moments that was her like her big aha. And she's like, we've got daughters. Like we've got to do something different for our girls. And that became the organic piece. And that's the thing too that's interesting now also as we go out to, all of these corporations, that's never what we lead with. That's always the and but, like that's the
Yeah.
third thing we talk about. And then that becomes like, oh, people are like, oh, interesting. Because the entire mission is about creating that access. Like just create access and get that. Then the next is like, okay, we're more sustainable, but then, oh, okay, then and we're organic. So it's like this storyline that we have, but oh yeah, the
And
organic is
I
now
think
like
I think you figured it out too. I think that I think the big thing that stuck with me is, why aren't tampons in stalls just like toilet paper?
it
I went,
is.
whoa,
Mm-hmm.
okay, that really was a kind of
Mm-hmm.
simple fix that should have been taken care of
So
decades
simple.
ago.
So simple. Just
And
so
no,
simple. Yeah.
and yet
It's
nobody's,
so simple.
it took you guys to come
Yeah.
along and solve the problem. So you're not just disrupting restrooms, you're redesigning how companies think about workplace wellness. How are conversations evolving in boardrooms and HR departments?
Yes, that's it. They're actually changing quite a bit. What's interesting is I think when we first started this, we thought we would be talking to HR and this would be all about employee benefits and wellness. But in fact, it's much less sexy. We're talking to facilities and janitorial and the people that are taking care of the buildings. And what we're hearing over and over again is how are they making these workplaces more about well-being, sustainability, engagement, return to office? What kind of upgrades can we make? And it's incredible. We go into all these buildings and, there's everything from golf simulators to
It's
hair
crazy.
salons and private chefs and like the crazy amenities that things that I didn't even realize that they could have in offices. And they certainly didn't have, years ago. And then you go into the bathroom and there's a sad basket on the counter with period products. It's just an oversight. Even these like spa type bathrooms that have
It's
everything
insane.
from hair straighteners to dry shampoo and dry bar products and everything that you could possibly imagine. And it's just an oversight. So it's been a big change in understanding who's making the decision in the building and what lengths they're going to increase both tenant and their client experiences. And how do we become part of those conversations? It's really incredible what the Class A buildings across America are doing right now to attract people back to the office.
Yeah, it's a perfect time because, yeah, everyone's coming back to the office, out of the home and back to the office. So it's that one more thing that they can give women to make it a little bit more comfortable to come back to work
Yeah.
is, at least they're seeing them.
Yeah, and we always win, in these relationships too, like internally within organizations when we can get an executive sponsor. Like that's usually the best thing that we can get is when we get that executive sponsor because then it just sort of pushes it down. But no,
Yes.
it's really it really surprised us. Yeah.
Well, and I'll add what's been the most surprising is that our biggest advocate are men, even more so than women. We have a better um, run rate. selling to men. And it's because when we bring it to its simplest terms and we just say, have you ever walked around with toilet paper? They go, oh my God, that's completely ridiculous.
Mhm.
And that's exactly what you would equate it to.
Yeah.
And so especially in men that have daughters are our
We
biggest
love
fans.
men that have daughters,
Because
yeah.
women are kind of used to dealing with it. So like, well, we've dealt with it. We, carried them around with us forever, but you don't have to. And men are very quick to be like, well, that would be insane. We'll absolutely put these right where they belong by the toilet paper. And
Yep.
that is true too. My husband says if guys got their periods, they would have been next to the toilet paper 50 years ago.
It'd be
So
party
feel good
favors.
about it.
Yes, totally. Yeah, no, there's a lot of things that, a lot of times having the conversation with the man then opens up this aha moment because they simply just haven't had the same experience that we as women have had. It's like, oh no, this is what we're dealing with, and we're expected to walk around with the equivalent of toilet paper in our purse
Yep.
for
Yeah, well, and
ourselves,
that's
you know?
true. I
Yeah,
think bringing men into the conversation
yeah,
actually matters because
it
if we just
does.
talk to each other,
Yeah.
then we're really not going to make change because there's still a lot of decision makers that are men out there. And I think, one of the leaders we've seen that does it really well is Kate
Mhm.
Luzio with our Luminary. She has always welcomed men into her organization because she said if we're just talking to ourselves, we're not making any change and anyone can come sit at our table. And she's right. She's right about bringing everyone into the conversation and the need for change has to be when you say inclusive, it actually has to include everybody.
It's so true. Yeah, and that's one of the biggest realizations I think I had when I was writing my book, The Manager, which the podcast comes after, was the idea that the invisible work isn't just invisible, it's actually unspoken a lot of times.
Yes.
We're not actually communicating to our partners what we're doing. We're doing all of these things. We're doing them quietly. We're doing them a lot of times with resentment. And it's like instead of, boiling up with resentment, let's learn how to communicate what we're doing, all of the things that need to be done within our household almost as management. Like if
Mm.
I was just the CEO of my household and everyone in here was either an employee or in management with me, how would I communicate with this organization my needs,
Mhm.
what needs to be done, what I'm doing and all of the things without all of the energy of the old toxic,
Yeah.
paradigm that was on the household? How can we have these conversations in a way that's productive and that gets stuff done in a way that no one has to have any resentment over it? Let's take that energy off of it and change let's shift the conversation. So I
I
love that you
love
guys
that.
are kind of shifting the conversation here too and bringing men into the conversation. It's just really cool. I think this is what this time is about for women.
Yeah. Yep. I love
So,
it.
No, we see it all the time. When we were just at Boston Convention Center last week, they had a brown during a building owners and managers association national conference. There was a brown paper bag on the counter with the old cardboard applicator tampons, which no one likes, and the big huge pads in a brown bag on the counter. And I happened to end up sitting with the CEO's son at lunch. And I didn't know it was the CEO's son. And we started talking about, like, this is an outrage. Like, I can't believe this. And he was like, my mom and sister would be so mad if they knew that that's what was being supplied here. And it truly, once you shined a light on it, they said, absolutely, we'll do something about this. Like, we just didn't, we thought we were supplying them and we checked the box. But I think when you shine a light on, you actually need to supply them in a way that, is not a ripped off paper bag
Yeah.
and brought it
It's
to
so
people.
sad looking.
with
But
a
it
little with
happens
some
when we're doing that.
dignity and like
Yes.
thoughtfulness.
Yeah, but it's
It means
truly
a lot.
just an awareness. They're kinda like, "Oh, I
Yeah.
put them there." I'm like, "I'm good. I'm a great guy."
Check check the
Uh-huh.
box.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
what advice do you have for other women who see a gap in the world, something invisible, and want to build a business around fixing it? Have any
Yeah.
advice?
I think that the number one thing, well, there's multiple things here. I think just do it. We say all the time, like if you see something, just start to really start to discover it, start to ask questions. Um, but what you're also going to realize is it doesn't have to be perfect. We try so hard when we do see something that it has to be perfect. Like we all do. We live in, we definitely there early on, we're like, okay, well, it's got to be this. No, you know what? Sometimes it's just iteration. Sometimes you got to pilot. Sometimes you got to give it you got to learn from each one of those things. And I think that's probably one of the most important things is it's not going to be perfect. Just do it. I think we're seeing, as Thyme actually said early on too, was you're seeing this whole change in this next generation of women and at this phase in their lives that they're leaving the workforce. And so when you do see what that potential problem is or what you need to solve to, um, first and most important, be a student and ask those questions. Really like get down to what the pain points are. But then also then just go. Just go and start. You got to get going and you got to start at something. But recognize that like it ain't going to be perfect and that's okay. And just learn along the way. Like there's going to be the different iterations and just continue to be fluid and flexible in that sense. And I think that that's really important, especially as building your own business, being an entrepreneur. But whether it's you're doing a product, you're doing a service, whatever you are, like just iterate and iterate and iterate.
Yeah. And the only thing I would add to that is, it is really timely because we had just done a talk recently about like the perfectionist trap, like that we always want to be stuck in this perfectionist trap and it's not there. And what comes from that, and what we've read a lot lately is you've also got to check your ego at the door to do this because, we read about, CEOs of huge companies leaving their job to start a jewelry company or whatever. And they said at some point you just have to stop caring what other people think
Mhm.
because, we had big jobs. We were the breadwinners in our family. We had all kinds of direct reports and all the stuff that comes with that. But we really weren't fulfilled. And to leave all that behind, you
Mhm.
feel you're worried about what other people think, but who cares? We've never been happier, and at the core of letting that ego go, we have this inner freedom now that is really the greatest gift we ever could have given ourselves at this point in our
Yeah.
lives.
Yeah, because you have purpose in your life. You wake up every morning and you know you have a purpose.
Yep.
And
Yep.
that's something that an entrepreneur can do. It's find something that is has meaning to you and build a business around it, right?
Yep.
It's like,
Yep.
yeah, and then because once something means something to you, it's easy to get out of bed.
Mm.
Yes, it
Yeah.
is. Mondays are no more. There's no more like there's no more the scary Sundays and any of that. It's like Monday, like let's go.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I love Mondays.
Yep. Same.
Yeah, and I feel like
Yep.
most entrepreneurs do. If they're doing
Yep.
something that they care about, if they found
Yep.
that.
Most entrepreneurs don't know what day of the week it is.
Yeah, that's so
Yeah,
true.
it's true.
That's so true.
It's true.
Because it doesn't really matter.
No, it
Yeah.
doesn't. No, it doesn't.
Yeah.
It doesn't.
It's true.
It kinda doesn't
Yeah.
matter, yeah. So tell me, the manager is all about turning invisible labor into visible leadership. What's one invisible task you now see as a superpower, and how does it show up in how you lead today?
I think the big thing for me in Thyme, and this is something that, we sort of shared earlier, is this curiosity piece to be a student again. Constantly learning. And we had stopped learning in our previous lives. And that's something that is one of those invisible, in that invisible labor that we sit behind us. Like every day we are trying to learn something new. And sometimes it's on purpose and sometimes it's not. We totally both devour podcasts. Do like it's stuff that like we love hearing other people's stories. And so it's what are you going to take from that? And that becomes that superpower because now it's like, okay, we're learning these things. We're going to filter. I think another important thing that we do is also another superpower is filtering. And that's where we talked about earlier of like, remove the noise, like remove it and stay focused, but be that student, start to filter it out, and then that allows you to then rethink and recalibrate how you are how you're leading, how you're running the company, how your things with your family. Like it's just, I think that that's something that we miss early on, especially when you're in a role. Both of us in our previous lives, when you're in these roles, I was all in product, but like I was only talking to people in product like in fashion. And now we're in this place of we're getting into rooms that we would have no business being in the room with these different folks and these different minds. I did this panel I still said to them, I was like, I don't know why I'm doing this, but it was with all of these attorneys. It's me and all of these M&A attorneys. And I was like, what is happening? And they're like, because they actually want somebody who understands what it is to be a founder, but in that room, it was just another group of people that you have to open yourself up to tell your story. And it just, I don't know. There's so many different, but I learned so much from that day. But then the other part is then they came to me and they're like, oh my goodness, like we learned so much from you. And we never had that opportunity before to put ourselves in those rooms with other folks that we never would have been in. And this opportunity as being founders has allowed us into those spaces. So, I think that becomes, there's a whole, all these different things that have become our superpower. But, I think the thing we pride ourselves on now is just constantly being students.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yes, learning constantly.
Yes.
I mean, the more we can evaluate the world, right? The more we can
Yeah.
learn, the better we can do things.
Yep. That's right. That's right. Yep.
Yours are very deep. You know what my superpowers are?
Yeah.
I don't get bit by mosquitoes, and I always find the perfect parking spot. Boom.
It's true. No,
And I would
Amy,
love to
you don't
have
even
both
understand.
because they
No, the
love
parking
me.
spot one
Mosquitoes
is mosquitoes.
love me.
Yeah, I can't even take it. No, the parking spot is like we will both be going to the same meeting, and she'll pull up and she's sitting right in front, and I have to like circle 10 times, or I've got to go into the parking lot, and I'm like, screw you, like this,
She
no,
will flip me off if she drives by. So
I
rude.
yeah,
So
I
rude.
will, I will, yeah.
So tell me, what's next for Unicorn? Any big moves, partnerships, or innovations on the horizon?
I think what's been the most interesting thing that's kind of evolving, and again, it's about following this path, is early on we had a lot of traction in banking and financial services, and what you would think would be the traditional buildings and Class A customers that we would attract with this employee benefit. But what's really incredible is most recently, we've launched with Pepsi, we've launched with Toyota, we've launched with Suffolk Construction, we've launched with a lot of different channels. And what it's getting us to understand is we've got this massive opportunity with Class A buildings because nobody's there, and there's 3.5 million Class A buildings with so many stalls for us to go after. But what we realize is the long game is really everywhere away from home. So how is it that our true legacy, it's always been our mission to advocate for women, but this legacy is about that our daughters aren't going to remember going to a bathroom away from home that doesn't have period products. So this is not just where we are today. This is about building where it's going to be in the future. And it's going to be just as ubiquitous as toilet paper. It's going to be as common as Wi-Fi. It's going to be as expected as Uber over attack. Like any of the innovations that have come, it's going to be one of those innovations. And we can see it now as we get into these other channels of business.
Yeah, it's huge.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
huge. It really is.
Yeah.
I'm so impressed that you guys saw a gap in the market, that you saw something that was missing, and that you guys went in and did something about it. Because Indy may live in a world, my 4-year-old may live in a
She's
world where
going to.
she'll never be without
Yep.
She'll never
She
stress
won't
eat.
have to
period
carry it
product.
around. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, and I think that's why we are so appreciative of being on with you today. And, really what our goal was this year is, listen, yes, let's go get out into as many stalls as we can, but we actually have to tell the story. We have to let people know that this is an option and this is a solution that's out there, because that's how this is going to become more rapid fire. And more people becoming aware that, what, this should be just like toilet paper. And our goal for 2025 was get out there as much as we can, share the story as much as we can, so that, yes, Indy can have that should be part of what happens for her. And then this next generation, number one, it should happen in schools. It should be happening in workplaces, every public space. Thyme always says it's this,
Yes.
everywhere away from home. That's what our goal is if you're not in your own bathroom at home, where it should be, and it should be everywhere.
I'm excited for her. I feel like the future for the women that are just coming up right now, for the women that are, under the age of 10, the world is going to be a very different place for them. I see things
Yep.
with automation coming their way. I see equity coming their way in a way that
Yep.
we've never seen before in, millennia and beyond. So I think that I'm very excited that, we get to be a part of
Agreed.
creating a greater future for this next generation. And wow, you guys, this has just
Yeah.
been such an incredible time to
You're
spend
amazing.
with y'all. And you guys just Always give me something to think about.
Yeah.
And thank you so much for being on the
Thank you.
show. Yeah,
Thank you. Thank
Thyme,
you.
Danielle, you guys
Thank
are
Yes.
you.
amazing. I
Thank you,
keep up the
Aimee.
good work. I can't wait to see unicorn in every stall I go into, and I
That's
hope
right.
just keep spreading it. Just keep spreading the
Yes,
Well,
unicorn.
thank you.
we
Thank you
will.
for
Yes.
all you do to amplify all of our
Yeah.
stories, Amy. It
Yeah.
matters. It matters, and that is a true gift that you're doing
Yep.
with your podcast, with your books, with all of it.
Yep.
So we really appreciate the time that you put into that. It's clearly a passion for you, and it makes a difference.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me, it's like, oh man, I needed a little more purpose. And I really
Yeah.
felt like we've got to shine a little more light on this and open these conversations up because there are women like you that are doing beautiful and fantastic things for humanity as a whole. And
Yep.
we need a place to hear all about it.
I
So,
love it.
well, thank you for listening to the manager. I'm so
Thank you.
glad that Thyme and Danielle were able to be here on the show today and keep managing you, girls. I'll see you next time. Wow, what an incredible conversation. You can learn more about Unicorn and their work at everystall.com. And of course, stay connected with me at themanager.com or on Instagram at Aimee Rickabus or at the manager. Thank you for listening. And as always, keep managing your world with heart, purpose, and the courage to see what others overlook.